And we are live here at the Mo Summit with Jeff Jordan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Happy to be here.
The founder, executive creative director, and president of Rescue Agency.
That's right.
And Jeff, this is all made possible by Big Path Capital, the leading investment bank that assists in company exits, capital raises, and founder liquidity. Jeff, what brings you to the Mo Summit?
Well, it was actually Big Path and you guys that invited us to come and speak and share some of our insights on social change.
And for those of you listening and watching this on Facebook, Rescue Agency was #1 on the top 100 impact companies.
That's right.
So impact, how do you define it?
Well, I think impact is about, our people changing. Is what you're doing causing people to change their behavior, their worldview, their point of view, their daily lives. And the more people you change, and the bigger that change is, right? So it's like, are you taking someone from point A to point Z, or are you just taking them from like Y to Z? And so there's also a degree to the change and the impact that you have on people. And I think those two factors together kind of are a company or a person's impact on the world.
And change is a big part of what Rescue Agency does. Could you elaborate on how you change behaviors?
Yeah, so we are Rescue Agency, the behavior change agency. And so what that means is that we do marketing for behavior change campaigns, so for social change campaigns, primarily within health. So we work on things like tobacco prevention and cessation, opioids, the opioids epidemic, exercise and eating healthy. The majority of our clients are the government, different health departments and government agencies, and we help them motivate the public to live healthier through different programs and campaigns that we develop and implement at the agency.
So could you tell our audience about like an example or a story, say tobacco for instance, where you've really been able to cultivate this change?
Yeah, so a great example that we've been working on for a long time is about 10 years ago now. We were talking about young adult smoking, 18, 26-year-olds who are going out, drinking, socially smoking, only smoking when they drink, and eventually that turns into daily smoking. And we wanted to do something about it. Our client, the University of California, San Francisco, wanted to do something about it. And so we did some research to find out, well, who are these young adults who are smoking? And one of the biggest groups that we found were hipsters. That hipsters smoked a lot. And so we developed a campaign called Commune to convince hipsters that smoking was against their own values. And so one of the important things of how we approach our work is that it's not about pushing your point of view onto people, right? I don't want people to stop smoking for the reasons that I personally believe smoking is bad. I want people to discover their own reasons why they would believe that. And so when we started this campaign with Commune, the question was, well, what would be a reason for a hipster who probably already knows that smoking is bad for them? They're pretty smart, for them to actually decide that they didn't want to do it. And what it came down to was really focusing on the corporate behavior of the tobacco industry, talking about how the tobacco industry contributes to deforestation in third world countries to cultivate tobacco, talking about their animal testing, talking about the impact they have with litter and how cigarette butts are one of the most toxic types of litter that's out there. And then we engaged local artists and local fashion designers to actually help us develop the messages. So there were original art pieces made to communicate some of these facts to the community. And now it became about a social justice issue, about, hey, as hipsters, we care about these things. Many are vegan, many are environmentalists themselves, but you're smoking, you're supporting an industry that literally is destroying the planet. And by making that connection for them, we were able to cause significant change. In the first 3 years, smoking amongst hipsters, which we just measure with like surveys and things like that, went down about 15% in San Diego, where the campaign started, and eventually it expanded to other cities. Wow. And so that's kind of the example of, we do really targeted work. It's never about reaching everybody. It's always like, who's the group we're trying to reach? And it's always about them and their own values and how health can actually fit within their own world.
Interesting. Okay, so if I was that hippie, I'd feel a little hypocritical, right? I'm smoking tobacco that is against my own values.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how do you measure something like that? I know you said earlier it's decreased a ton, but how do you quantify all the behavior change that you do?
Yeah, so for us, typically it's surveys. So we'll survey the population, maybe once a year, collect 1,000 surveys, 1,500 surveys, however many are necessary, sometimes online, sometimes in person, and ask them not just about their smoking behavior, but also ask them about some of their attitudes and their beliefs to show that what we're talking about, right? If before no one knew that the tobacco industry was harming the environment, but a year later, a whole bunch of people suddenly knew about this, then what we can do is not just say that we decrease smoking, but also actually point to the path that people took and say, hey, we guided them through that path. That was our information, our values, our attitudes that went out into the community that started to change the culture.
Got it. And how does Rescue Agency get their funding from to do a big campaign like this?
Yeah, so all of our clients are pretty much the government. And so the government has funds and has had forever, money to convince people to live healthier. That's where things like PSAs come from.
Sure.
But one thing that we've really changed in that world is that a PSA in the past, and maybe this is what you're thinking when I say the word PSA, it kind of feels like your mom telling you not to do something, right? That this is your brain on drugs. It's like no. Everyone, just say no, right? It's like warnings, right? And then you need to go and make the right choice. And we've taken that and really just broken that and reconstructed it into, no, this isn't about kind of lecturing people. This isn't about judging them, making them feel bad for what they're doing. This is about helping people find their own reasons why health is in their best interest. Because deep down, everyone would prefer to be healthy, right? People don't want to get diseases and die. That's not what people want. But there are other things they want, right? They want to be cool, they want to be sexy, they want to be trendy, they want to be rebellious, whatever it is. And if you can connect some of those things to health, that's going to become the optimal option for them.
Interesting. So, and for those watching this at home, if you haven't seen these, I'll just call them commercials.
Yeah.
They're really enticing. They're really clever. They're really unique. What's the process like? Is it a storyboard? Are you on a map? And you're the executive creative director.
Yeah.
Can you kind of walk me through the steps to make a commercial like that?
Yeah, so we have a huge creative team with, they're the ones doing the work nowadays. I get the lucky job of just saying yes or no. But the process begins with research, first and foremost, which we also have a huge research team, MPHs, PhDs, that are really, their job is to understand the values and where the behavior fits into people's lives, right? So we need to know if we're asking you to stop doing something, or if we're asking you to start doing something like exercise, we need to do the heavy lifting, which means we need to figure out where does that fit in your lives. If you're going to eat healthier, do you have time to cook a whole meal? Or are we giving you advice on how to eat healthier when you're on your way home from your second job? We got to figure that out in our head. So first we figure out what is the actual change that will happen. How will it fit into their lives? And then, we go into what we call ideation. And so now we have the behavior, now we have where it fits in their lives, we have the values, and so we start to put all those things together into a story. And the simplest way to describe what we do is that we try to tell stories that change people. Stories where they can see themselves, say, hey, that person's just like me. Oh, they're busy just like me. Oh, they have kids who hate vegetables just like me. Or they're a hipster and they go out and they have fun just like me. And they're giving, and so I trust them, and so I'm listening to this story about how they've decided to change something that they used to do. And that goes into the commercial, the web video, whatever it is, to cause change.
Fascinating. Well, It seems like you have so many parts, like from research to the creative team to working with the government. How important is leadership in bringing all these parts together?
Leadership is there in order to kind of drive everyone to the same point. Right? So you have all these experts that each bring their own expertise, whether, like what you mentioned, we also have media planning and kind of social media people and all sorts of folks who have this expertise. And leadership's job is to give that guiding light, to say this is where we're all going, and this is how everyone fits in, so that they can work together and achieve this goal that you're setting out there.
Wonderful. Well, Jeff, we think you're a real leader. So the last question I'm going to ask is, all right, what is your definition of a real leader?
I think a real leader is someone who knows when to sit back and let others lead. So I think a lot of leaders out there fear letting go. I have done that. You know, I've been a leader for 18 years now, and I've definitely learned my lessons. But I think you truly become a leader when you are no longer afraid of others' abilities, and can let them shine, and can let them teach you things.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Empower other leaders, folks.
That's right.
You heard it here, live with Jeff Jordan, the founder, executive creative director, and president of the #1 company on the Real Leaders Top 100 Impact Companies of 2019. Jeff, thanks for the time today on the
thank
Real
you.
Leaders Live.
No problem.
And we're going to send it to the Real Leaders 100 Live video coming up here soon.